if cheeks gotta be clapped, just clap the cheeks. Get the cheeks clapped.
Hello, my name is Mrs. Melanin.
And I'm Belief Mel.
And we're here with episode 234 of How Married Are You?
Okay, my name Belief. This is Yvette. We married 14 years. Live in California. We got four kids. Relationship scary. It's very necessary. We share our love struggles. We ask
How married are you?
Tuesdays and Thursdays, shawty.
Sometimes.
If you're listening, you're in the wedding party. It's okay. If you want to put your hands up, you got the questions. We got the answers.
Chocolate baby story time.
Chocolate baby story time.
It's chocolate baby story time.
1, 2, 3, and...
It's chocolate baby story time.
All right, babe.
Okay, so the kids and I were having a conversation the other day, and I think I was addressing their behavior about calling each other out of their names, because you know how kids are. They'd be like, Mom, he called me this. Mom, she called me that. Mom, da, 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 da. And I was like, hey, everybody, we call each other by our names. And then they try, you know how the kids do, they try to turn it back on you.
Yeah.
And they turned it back on me. And they're like, well, Mom, you don't always call us by our name.
Mm-hmm.
And all the things. And so then it turned into a huge discussion. And the part that really got me was, and Mom, I know what you're, and Theo, it was Theo who said this. He was like, Mom, and I know what you're going to try to do. You're going to try to be like, your dad calls you names, da, 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 da. And they were like, but when he does it, it's funny. So, because I'd be like, you Negroes need to get it together, da, 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 da. And apparently they don't like me calling them Negroes, but Glenn can call them a turd burglar and it's hilarious to them and it's okay. And so I just don't really appreciate the double standard that I've been held to in this family. And yeah,
they playing you. I definitely,
because I told them, I said, I am going to work on that. I'm going to work on it. And also, you still Negroes to me.
Yeah, that's wild. I would say that I don't really care. I don't want to call them. I mean, I call them by their names, but also like whatever fits for the mood. You know what I'm saying? Because if one moment they do something and I call them a goose nipple, then that's what they are.
I guess I understand what they mean now. That's hilarious. Because what the heck is a goose nipple?
I don't know, but it makes sense when I say it. Yeah, man. I think that we will never leave the hug era. You know, Uriah just doesn't care. Today I was doing, they asked me to be their patient, Anaya and Uzi, and they were doing a doctor thing and they were like fixing up my hurt arm. And then I actually fell asleep after they stopped doing what they were doing.
Anaya came in the room and she's like, Mom, do you want to give Dad love? And I was like, yeah, but have him come to me. And she was like, I don't think he's going to do that.
Yeah, because I was sleeping. But Uriah, I was like, somebody was next to me and Uriah was under the covers with me, like snuggling with me. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Did you feel violated?
No, I didn't feel violated. I just fell asleep and just tried to like, you know, go to sleep. I tried to just go to sleep. But it was definitely a point where I was like, bro, a little bit of space. But once it would have been fine if he didn't do that like creepy laugh that he does. He goes, like, oh my
it's
God.
Not creepy. It's a laughter of excitement. He's really excited.
Just get so excited.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. All right. So welcome Black.
Welcome
guys.
Black.
Yeah, we are. I forget what's next. What do we do next? Read an email?
We get into the topic. But I did want to just throw a little whatever out there. I feel like Glenn and I have found ourselves in conversations lately with people where it's been like, you should actually really check out our Premarital Advantage course that will help you get ready for marriage. And so I feel like I want to continually remind you all that we do have a Premarital Advantage course, which it's more like we are your marriage
counselors.
Mentors.
Yeah. Kind of.
I definitely wouldn't call us counselors. We are your marriage mentors, and it's us going through all the things that we wish we would have known all the things we wish we would have known and conversations we wish we would have had leading to marriage. And it's not meant to replace premarital counseling, but it is meant to help prepare you along the way.
Yeah.
So if you are interested in getting that, go over to our website, howmarriedareyoupodcast.com, and you can find all the information you want.
Yeah. It is really good. It's really important because most of these people, I'm watching, and I've been kind of over consuming stuff, but it's just really depressing how these people formulate their relationships and the standards that they have. They walk into relationships with no principle, no like true, like, oh, this is why I want to be in a relationship or anything like that. Most of these, like I've been watching that pop the balloon thing. It's this right here underneath. I've been watching that pop the balloon thing, and like, you walk into a room and everyone goes pop, 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 pop. Right.
Without any which goes to our last, or the episode before last when we were talking about, is attraction required? Like, those people didn't even give the person a chance because the person walked in the room and they're like, I'm not even attracted to you.
Yeah, well, that's the point. It's not even like I'm not attracted to you. They walk up to him like, why'd you pop your balloon? It's like, I don't like his shoes. It's like, I didn't make them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like a shoe cobbler. Like, I just bought them, and they don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't look right with the outfit. So what? I can change my shoes. It's so stupid. So anyway, if you are in a relationship, or you're trying to be in a relationship, whatever, you want to find a like-minded person, make sure you check out the Premarital Advantage. It will just help you go in sober-minded and help you make the decision on like what's really important. Yeah. Anyway,
I also think it's not so much only for like for engaged couples. I think it's also something to consider as an individual. And even if you are currently single and you sign up for the course and you go through it on your own, I think it's good conversations to have with yourself so that when you do start to date, you can start to bring some of these things up and be able to weed out the bad apples quicker, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so we're going to get into our email, but I did want to say one thing. And I know this is really superficial, but black socks with white shoes, I think I would pop a balloon.
Black socks.
You know, that's like my pet peeve. I just can't do it. Or even white socks. I don't know.
But who cares really?
I know.
Who cares really?
But with my children, I'd be like, take those socks off.
Yeah.
Actually, I've gotten to the point in my parenting where I don't even care.
Who cares?
Like, do you have socks on? Because I don't want your feet to be funky.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this email. Hey, y'all. My fiance and I are both in our 30s and about to get married soon. I'm not a virgin, but he is. We've stayed celibate through our relationship with the help of God, and we're grateful. I can't help but think that the sex finna be whack when we get married, though, because he has no experience. How do I shake this thought and just focus on the positives? What are some things to be aware of in a sexual relationship with a guy that's a virgin? What are some conversations to be had that were helpful for both of you when talking about your sexual needs?
Yeah.
I feel like we've had a similar question before, but I don't think the follow-up questions beyond that I think they were talking about how they think sex is going to be whack, and then they didn't have these questions following up.
Yeah. I mean, I think that if you come into marriage and the conversation that you are thinking is like, man, the sex is going to be whack because this person is so unexperienced, right? Or inexperienced. I think that is kind of like, it kind of shows your hand a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that like good sex is something that, you know, is valuable and important in a relationship because it like talks about safety and security and just general attractiveness and like all these things that we as humans like put so high up on the like totem pole is like what's important. But it really does show your work ethic or lack thereof. Because anything that is worth, like that is good is learned. You know what I'm saying? It's trained, is, it's work. It's like work that goes toward that. Right. We were having a conversation recently with someone in the same situation. And the woman wasn't speaking about, I think she did say something about the sex was going to be whack or something like that.
I think she expressed she was concerned, but she had also been celibate for a while and, you know.
Right. Yeah. So, but I think what she was more saying was like, she was more ashamed that she had already experienced all that and felt like, dang, like, do I deserve this? You know what I'm saying? So when you walk into a relationship with someone, I think, I remember for a while, Tyrese was going on this rampage with Reverend Run. He was like, yeah, man, like, I need to make sure I test it out to see if it's good before I commit my life to it because, like, he kept saying that over and over and over again. I know the brother is fully delivered. I don't know where he's at on the spectrum now with that, but I know that he seems to have learned from that. But it's just like, yo, like, if you can't train somebody, like, sex is really hard to not have any enjoyment, right? Especially from a man's perspective. But I think that you really do put in work for that, and you tell the person, hey, I like this, or I don't like this, or try this, or can you know what I'm saying? Like, all that stuff that happens in movies or sometimes in our escapades as adolescents, right? In our adolescence, sometimes that stuff is just pure hormones. You know what I'm saying? And just us chasing after like a fleshly desire. I think, I don't want to, put you down, but I do think that, if I'm your spouse or fiance, I think that puts us in like a competitive way. You know what I'm saying? And I would feel like, dang, like there's no faith in me. You know what I'm saying? Or there's like, I'll be hurt by those thoughts. I think that you got a lot of work to do, and you got a lot of training to do since you're the expert. You know what I'm saying?
I think too, the thing that a lot of us forget is that sometimes we do know a lot about something, and also there's still more to learn.
Yeah.
And when you're intimate, when you've been intimate with other people, when you come to be intimate with a new person, you each are learning your bodies. Like there's things to explore, and sex is just it can be an awkward interaction anyway because of all the things.
You're going to tell them about our first night?
Sure.
Maybe a little bit later.
Yeah. But the point I'm making is that like, even though you may be experienced, you're not experienced with this body.
Yeah.
You're not experienced with this individual, and this individual is not experienced at all, but you both have an opportunity to learn each other. And I think that is something worth, like, that should be the conversation. That should be central to the conversation of like, we get to learn each other's bodies. We get to be intimate in this way together. And so it's more something to look forward to than something to dread. And I think another thing to do is that even though you may know a lot, you may not know a lot. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So like there is still a lot to learn about even the woman's body and how it functions. And there's lots of great books out there about our sexuality and even just the vagina in and of itself and how it is meant to experience pleasure. And I think that there are books to read. There are people to talk to about it. I think for him, it might be worthwhile to have conversations with other men who have been intimate with their spouse, or even other men whom he might know that are virgin, that were virgin grooms. I've never said that before. I've always said virgin bride, but not virgin grooms. Mm-hmm. And I know like might feel like it's a unicorn thing, but actually it seems like it's more common now than it has been in the past. Do you feel that way? Like, I feel like I've been hearing more about virgin grooms than I will usually have, but nonetheless, I do think it's important to have those conversations for him with other men, and then for you guys with other couples that you trust as well. Because, yeah, I know for me as a virgin bride, I didn't have those conversations, and I wish I had going into our wedding night, because on our wedding night, it was rough.
Terrible.
I mean, I feel like, I guess if this is your first time listening to the podcast and you don't know, but.
And I'm not saying that the sex was terrible. It just didn't happen.
We didn't have sex.
Right.
Yeah. And I think, did we try on our first night? We did. We tried.
I was very confused. I think that you were a virgin, but you were very mischievous. Like before, you're very curious before, but like like before we were married, and then like the wedding night, you were just sort of like so scared and shy, and I was like, "What is happening? Where's the freak that you pretended to be?"
I did not pretend to be a freak. What?
Okay. You didn't pretend to be a freak, Yvette.
No.
You didn't.
I was curious, yes, but I was not a freak.
Yeah, but you were very like you were advancing. You were advancing, which I thought that like when the wedding night came, it was gonna be like I was gonna have to like tell you to calm down.
Oh wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Your expectations were very high.
Very, very high. Very high. Yeah, I don't know why, but I guess I had never been in that situation before.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So
was your first time with a virgin?
No.
Had you ever been intimate with a virgin before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but it wasn't something that was like with you and I, like I just didn't like we were talking about the other day, it was like I didn't have access to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like even though you were mine, like there was so much.
He used quotation marks when he said mine for those of you listening and not watching.
Because I didn't know what you trusted me with. You know what I'm saying? Like there was just very little trust in that. And so that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seemed like we never talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We never talked about what the first night was going to be like or any of your concerns or any of my concerns. We just went to the hotel and was like, wait a minute, something's afoot.
Mm-hmm.
And Yvette's like, where do you want to put anything? I was like, huh?
I didn't know what went where, y'all. I was a hot mess express.
Yeah. So there was no there's a certain amount of like trust and peace that comes with intimacy that allows a woman's body to be prepared for intercourse.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And for a man, it's totally different. Like we can see something and just be like, hard. You know what I'm saying? Like that hard now, or touch me here. I'm hard, ready to go expeditiously. You know what I'm saying? And with a woman's body, depending on the woman, like the amount of wooing.
You got to warm up the engine.
I mean, I don't even know what that would have been like.
I don't either.
You know what I'm saying? That was more like cutting on the auditorium lights.
That was such a good. That was a good analogy.
You click it, a click,
and it's like it makes the noise.
And then you don't even realize when the lights are on. Yeah. You're like, oh my gosh, now it's bright. You know.
That was really good. Oh my goodness.
But no, like I think that there's a lot of trust that we had to grow in, and that just wasn't there. You know. So I'm really grateful for where we are now, but I wish we had people early on who would help us, because we had 6 years of very, and I don't want to say bad sex, because I think that is such an oxymoron. You know what I mean?
Say more about why it's an oxymoron.
Because I feel like, like I always finished. You understand me? You know what I'm saying? The feeling I had afterwards was that, you were doing something as a dutiful wife. And I felt like I was giving something that really didn't belong to me yet. Because even though we were married, you had not fully given yourself to me. You know what I mean? And I think a part of those reasons, you know what I'm saying, were deep. But I think that you were so shameful. I don't know. The lady girl said the other day, you were still the good girl.
Yeah.
You were still the good girl. And I think that I had my own, there was so much relationship and identity. Your identity was as a daughter first. You know what I'm saying? Before it was as a wife.
I also think there was this element of before I was married, I was not allowed to do this. And then after I was married, I was suddenly allowed to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no, like you said, like there was no auditorium lights turning on. It was just all of a sudden it was allowed.
Yeah.
But there were no conversations with me about what that means or even the purpose or the intent, or like I always thought it was for the man and to get pregnant, not necessarily for my own pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't seen myself as a sexual being, and I also hadn't experienced anyone being attracted to me in that way very much. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's probably one person outside of you that it seemed like, oh, they were interested in me,
Mm-hmm.
like as a sexual being. And that hadn't been something that was experienced by myself, that I had experienced. And so, yeah, it was kind of like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say too that the more you got brave at some point,
Mm-hmm.
you got brave and you decided that, you know, you wanted to experience what God had for you after I had reached out to a friend of mine,
Mm-hmm.
and then he told his wife, and then she reached out to you,
Mm-hmm.
and really poured into you and did like the work of God. And I do want to say also for like Christians, or people really trying to like abide by, you know, a godly standard, or what they believe is a godly standard, and like not having sex before marriage. You can't tell somebody they can't do something like as the church or as family members, and then tell them that all of a sudden, like, yeah, you should be having sex all the time, or you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just such a strange shift to have right on one day. You know what I'm saying? And I think if you're gonna be the person that's kind of like, yo, you can't do that. Like, you should probably abstain. You got to teach this person like what's the purpose of abstaining, right?
Yeah.
And what are you really gonna be able to benefit from by abstaining? Because I don't know if people truly understand like what there is to gain. You know,
That may be a good series to do. I'm gonna write that down. Do you want to go into the next email?
yeah.
Okay. Scheduled intimacy is the title of the podcast. And this is more of like a checking in with us type thing. And she goes, hi, I have been following your How Married Are You podcast and also Belief in Fatherhood since 2020. My family and marriage have been blessed by so many takeaways. I am curious if you two still schedule physical intimacy. My husband and I have been married 11 years and have 2 school-aged boys. We started scheduling intimacy, but not necessarily physical intimacy. Twice a week, the same day each week, we do something, whether that is a date night, card game, cook dinner together, etc. And sometimes that leads to physical intimacy. This has allowed us to intentionally connect twice a week, which has helped to improve our communication, physical intimacy, and overall marital health.
Yeah, no.
No.
No, we don't.
We have fallen out of our scheduled intimacy.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
Yeah. We don't schedule intimacy. We don't schedule anything. We don't schedule anything. I think that's something that we could probably benefit from.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily. I think the hard part about scheduling intimacy is that sometimes, like, you could be like, all right, we're going to get the car, and this is a terrible example, but you're going to get the car wash every Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Oops.
well, who's going to take the car, though? Well, you take the car. Okay, I'll take the car.
Say more. Okay, yeah, you're still talking.
Yeah, well, because it's kind of like who's initiating what.
I think
saying?
when we used to have it scheduled, it was just we knew. And so it was like, okay, I'm
Nah,
showering. I'm
but
getting in the shower.
didn't.
You getting
We
in the
didn't.
shower.
We didn't.
What? I think it was one of I felt like it was like, okay, this is a night. I'm getting in the shower. You getting in the shower. What's happening?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't.
And then you go to sleep and expect me to wake you up. It happened every single time.
What?
A lot of times, for sure, babe.
Okay.
To me, I think that, yeah, it's harder. I don't know why. It sucks. It does get harder.
Yeah, I think Glenn and I have been in a and you can correct me if I'm wrong. somewhat of a mental and emotional fog, or just like, I don't even know if that's the correct word or term to use, but there's been a lot happening over the past year and beyond. But over the past year, especially, that has made any kind of scheduling and whatever possible. I feel like we've been thriving out here in these streets.
In these forests and deserts.
Yes. Out here on the farm. We are looking forward to, are we going to say?
Yeah,
so
out of here.
I think we mentioned that we are renting the farm, or that we're borrowing the farm from friends. And this was never meant to be like a permanent move. There was exploration of that option. And then it just kind of, I think from spending time here this past year, we realized that this isn't necessarily what we're looking for. We still want acres. We still want to do some homesteading. But we now have more clarity on.
Not like this.
Yeah. we now have more clarity on what that looks like for our family in as we move forward. And so we are currently renters. And
we're going to be renters.
We're not going to buy in the near future because we're trying to figure out where we want to put down roots specifically. But the Lord has just been so gracious in how he is showing up as we start to move out of this place and into the next place. And so I'm looking forward to this next season. Like, I feel like this is the most optimistic I have been in a while. Yeah. Because I feel like we've just been met with so many challenges and so much whatever over the past few years that it's like I am exhausted by life. I do feel like the world in and of itself is still heavy, but our world here there's starting to be like room to breathe. I feel like actually being out here on the farm has helped us breathe in some ways. But yeah, so anywho, I am looking forward, I'm gonna speak for myself. I am looking forward to this next season that the Lord is walking us into or ushering us into. And I am grateful for the ability to be able to schedule and plan and just feel better within the walls of a house. I think this house is fine for 2 people, but for 6, we were very ambitious. Yeah. We were very ambitious, and that was all on us. But yeah, like we need to be scheduling intimacy. I did, however, at the start of the new year, I reached out to one of our old nannies who lives near here. She's still kind of far, but closer to us here. And she has agreed to give us date nights every 2 weeks. So date days. Yeah. So we have been able to get that going. We did it once so far. But that's because these kids and their schedule, man. But we have a date coming up not a week from, like, on Saturday. Yeah. So we're good. Anywho. Yeah.
No. Yeah, the answer's no.
No. But we still do connect. Glenn has been watching shows with me, which he doesn't usually watch TV.
Yeah.
Are you guys watching Paradise? Are you watching Severance?
Paradise is good. Paradise is good.
With Sterling K. Brown.
Yvette had us watching Silo.
Oh, that was good. Well, it was good. Paradise is like a better version of Silo, I think. In some ways. Different, but some ways.
Oh, man.
I still think Silo was a good show.
Silo was
If they come out with another season, I will watch it.
You gonna watch it because you just a watcher.
No, I'm not watching that one show that you be watching on Apple TV.
White Lotus.
I am not watching that.
And that's on Max.
It's on Max now?
Yeah. Oh. It's always been on HBO Max.
Okay. Next email. Where are we at with time? Okay. I love your podcast so much. Thank you for all that you do. I am a 27-year-old married mother of a 2-year-old and 2-month-old. God bless you, child. This stage of motherhood is hard, particularly when it comes to being intimate with my husband. Can you please give some advice on how sleep-deprived working mothers can maintain a better connection with their spouses? I know sex and intimacy is very important in marriage, but honestly, I'm so stressed. I'm too tired and overstimulated by little kids. My husband's love language is physical touch, and I feel so bad. With the combination of motherhood and not being a touchy person, I don't think I'm showing up for him in the way he needs to show in the way he needs me to show up. Thank you all again. I feel like this kind of goes into the whole idea of scheduled intimacy and each partner doing their part. Because I remember when I was a working mom and having worked a full day, and then, you know, as a teacher, you had to come home and still kind of do some prep work for the next day or even the week ahead. And then, like, you know, you did a really good job of cooking and doing all the things, but also I'd feel the need to help with household chores and stuff when I got home. And so there's always,
because I could be in disgust.
Yes, Glenn can.
I can live amongst the filth.
Glenn can exist and be productive in very messy spaces, whereas I cannot. And so for me, and I think for a lot of women, that can also be like a barrier to be intimate with somebody, because you're like in bed with them, but you're also thinking about the load of laundry that's sitting on the chair next to your bed that you need to fold, or you see the stacks of mail piling up. You know, it's just a bunch of different things that start to get in your way. I've also noticed, and I'm not trying, so I think that if you schedule intimacy and then each of you are proactive to be like, okay, I'm going to load the dishwasher tonight. I'm going to get this load of laundry put together, or I'm going to put the kids to bed. Like, you have those things ironed out. I think that that is very helpful. Like, if you don't get those things done any other night of the week, that's the night of the week you get it done to help get you to a space where you feel lighter. But I was noticing something the other day, that also when I am active, like my drive is higher. Mm-hmm. Like when I am working out and doing all the things. And so, and eating well, because I think I was eating well versus working out. I was trying to do it for like a week and I was like, oh, I need something. Yeah. And so I think that like we as people, because we get so stressed and we live such full lives, sometimes we don't prioritize things like eating well and moving our bodies and exercising. But I do think that that is something worth exploring especially for people who are working and stressed out. Like, if you guys can even just do a family walk for like 30 minutes around the neighborhood or whatever the case may be, I think that that is something worthwhile to help move, like to make it more of a need. Wait, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but.
Yeah. Can I say something?
Yeah.
I was going to say, it's always going to be a hard season and a reason not to. I was talking to Yvette one time and I was trying to get her to do something that she did not want to do. And she was just like, I got too much stuff going on in my own life. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to talk about this. I don't blah, blah, blah. You're always trying to da-da-da-da. And I was like, well, guess what? And the next season is going to be something else hard. Another reason why you shouldn't do what you need to do or execute in this area. And so what's going to keep you from doing it then? You know what I'm saying? Every season is going to be, if you do it now, it'll get you to where you need to be. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's, when you have a third kid, what's going to be your excuse then? You know what I'm saying? Like when it's a fourth kid, right? When there's rats in the car or the water smells like sulfur.
Oh my goodness.
And your car's stuck in a ditch.
He's talking from personal experience, y'all.
What you going to do then? I mean, if cheeks got to be clapped, just clap the cheeks. Get the cheeks clapped.
Really? That's what you had to say?
You said vagina earlier.
What?
Butt cheeks clapped.
I get it, love. Thank you. You just wanted to say it again, didn't you?
I love the clap cheeks is just.
Oh my. Okay. So
this is good sound.
I do think sometimes you just got to do it. You just got to do it because you never regret it. Well, at least I don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, even when you're like exhausted before going into it, it's not like afterwards you're like, man, I wish I didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it does just take a little bit of, let's go for it. But I think the practical things you can do is everything that I mentioned before.
You're not better than me because you don't say the words I say.
I'm not saying that I'm better than you.
I just want you to know you're not better than me.
I didn't say I was. I was just saying, okay. We have one last email within this category. If you haven't,
we are cooking today.
We are cooking. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there is a theme with this podcast. of intimacy. So there we go.
Sex and Intimacy, the Truth. Maybe that should be the title.
Okay. Okay, as a single young lady aged 25 from...
Does intimacy lead to clap cheeks?
Oh my gosh.
All right. I'm just trying to
Can
help out
you
the
say
editor.
this?
Malawi.
Okay. As a single young lady aged 25 from Malawi, Africa, by the way, and wishing to get married someday, I tend to socialize with young married folks and hear their experiences on marriage and married life. Most couples, especially men, complain of their partner rejecting them sex after they get married, yet they were physically intimate before they got married. The one controlling the sex probably has various reasons as to why they no longer desire to be intimate with their partner. I started researching as to why most women starve their husband's sex as to avoid making the same mistakes when I get married. I do not want to have a broken home as a result of something that could have been avoided. Sexless marriage can be avoided. Anyway, I started researching on sexless marriage and found that one of the reasons partners, especially women, starve their husbands is because of sexual incompatibility. Maybe this is something that we can talk about, like how to initiate these sex drives conversations, how to strike a balance and ensure no party is being starved, how men could better understand female anatomy, and how that affects sex for women, and how women should stop using sex as a form of punishment or control.
There's a lot in there.
There is a lot in there. I want to address women using sex as a form of punishment or control. I do not think that that is an intentional thing that a lot of women do. I do understand that that is a thing. What do you have to say? Why did you respond like that? His face.
I don't know. Go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
Well, because I think that like you could say that about me, but it wasn't about punishment or control. It was about a lack of knowledge of self. You know what I mean? Like there was a lack of understanding.
Yeah,
there was
but you are an anomaly. A
I
lot of
am
people
not.
weren't. You are.
In the comments below, let us know if I'm an anomaly.
Yeah, Yvette did not know that she could have sex for pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
That's an anomaly, right? There are a lot of Christian women who probably agree and like understand what you're saying and probably can agree with what you're saying. But there are people that don't feel secure or don't feel protected or don't feel XYZ, and they don't want to let that in. They don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a straight up, like, it's gatekeeping, so to speak. So you're saying that you think more women are like, I didn't know I could orgasm or not. You think that's what's happening?
No, I just don't think. Well, I mean, I guess I can't really speak on the whole thing.
That's why abstinence is good, man. Because when you've been out in the streets and you have a lot of companions and you have a lot of stuff to compare it to, then it's hard to be like, I'm going to work to make this compatible. Like the first person that was talking about, like sometimes like, how do I avoid bad sex? You know what I'm saying? Well, one, you have to say, hey, I'm not getting pleased, honey. That is a hard conversation to have with a man, right? And here's how you can please me better, right? You can do this. You can position me this way. I want to, you know what I'm saying? Like in men, how we perceive sex is through how we view pornography or our past experiences from our wild days trying to manipulate women into our beds, right? So there is a difficult conversation what marital sex is supposed to be like. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does that look like? Like when we are intimate, there is a safety. Like that activates safety for me. And I don't ever think I thought of that before. Like for me, before, it was about getting a nut off. Vocabulary.
He just wants
Urban
to
Dictionary is popping today. Look at me. Woo!
So proud.
No, it was about orgasms and like releasing this thing. And you know, almost like a task to please. Like I'm a pleaser. That's what it was about. It was about this, you know, almost like this sport.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That never ends. It's like, how do you win this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because even after you've reached your point, then you got to work up to do it again. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, well, how, who, with how many, with, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
But when you don't have much experience, or like you're with your husband or wife, then there's a safety there. Not to say that you can't be, you know, whatever, but there's a
no. Can you name that? What's the whatever you're just saying?
Like not to say that you have to be abstinent or you have to be a virgin or whatever, but when you are fulfilled by the act, you know what I'm saying, of safety and security, like it's not just about compatibility, you know, because there's many areas we're not compatible in. And one of those areas was sex for a long time. Right. And I used to be mad. I make you feel that. I wasn't sitting there like, but when I got in the shower or I drive in a car by myself, I'm like, Lord, what is going on?
Yeah.
What in the heck what did I do? What did I do? Like, should I have just, because you know what, I've never said this before, but you know what I was thinking was like, I probably shouldn't have been abstinent. Like, I probably shouldn't have, like,
you should have gotten it all in.
I should have had a lot of sex before I stopped. That's what I was thinking.
Wow.
Yeah. But you're talking about someone who is, you know, I'm wanting to please you and you won't let me.
No, I understand.
No, you don't. I
mean, I understand why you were led to think that, but also, wow. That was a lot. Gonna have to process that one.
Babe, it was what? 8 years ago?
Yeah. 8 years ago. Oh, yeah. I have a question.
Okay.
Because I will say, you know, there is a part of us as women who are virgins, and, you know, I think not everyone's story is mine. So I do understand that. So I'm not speaking for all virgins, but I'm speaking for
all two of y'all. Just joking.
I believe there's more than two of us.
I believe it too. Yeah.
However, I am speaking for virgins like myself who were not talking about sex, because I do believe there are virgins who were talking about sex, who were like, when I have sex, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to whatever. And who had a lot of prior knowledge of, you know, where the penis goes, because I didn't even know that part, you know?
Yeah.
And so for me, when it did come time to having sex, and I will say, I guess let's just talk about those first 6 years. I didn't really understand sex in the form of I needed to be the one, like I deserved to have pleasure as well.
Yeah.
And I know that I was very shy in conversations. Like I just didn't want to talk about it afterwards at all. And also there is like, I remember those 6 years too. And there were things that happened that I was like, this is not it. But then it's like, how do you say something to your spouse? Because I think a lot of it had to do with me not wanting to offend you. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like there is a conversation to be had here about like, how can a man receive that? Like, what can he do? I mean, because I don't even know what you could have said to me to make me feel comfortable to be like, I didn't like that, or that didn't feel good, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I had, but let's just say that I did have that.
Hold on. From whose perspective? Because I just laughed.
You did.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't in your brain. It was on your face too.
Okay. What happened?
So what I'm saying is, for me, because I feel like now I can communicate like, hey, I like it when you do this. Can you do that?
Yeah.
You know, whatever. However, there is a version of me that was not able to do that because I was nervous about how it would make you feel, like how it would make your manhood feel. You know what I'm saying? Mm. And so I do feel like that's still a thing, because some men feel like they are pleasing. They are like God's gift to women, you know. But how can a man, because I feel like you receive things well, but what is it about you that allows you to receive that feedback?
I think, so I may be an anomaly here, but let me just say this. I think a woman should be an expert in her own body, right? And if I was playing the guitar and the guitar could say, hey, I'm not supposed to sound like that. This is how you play me.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not playing the guitar. I'm pleasing a woman who I should be trained. Like, you should tell me. And I think most men would want to know how to do whatever they're doing better. Now, how you say it is going to be really important. When you say it is going to be really important. You know what I'm saying? Now, me, right? I didn't feel like that with you. So I didn't feel like I could tell you something. Because even when I'd be like, babe, thank you so much for the eggs, it was a little salty. That's why I don't cook. That's why I don't be in the kitchen.
That's not how it goes.
Yvette Nicole. You wouldn't get offended when I tell you something was a little too salty or something like that?
I might get a little offended, but I don't react like that. That is not how I react.
Stand in your truth.
I will say that
I'm talking to the wedding party at this point. Stand in your truth. All right? Because some people just can't take the truth. Now, let me tell you this. Even if I'm trying to tell her that I couldn't critique her, she's telling me that she could be critiqued. Now, let me tell you this. If I tell this woman, hey, I didn't really like the way this tasted or something like that in the kitchen, right? I knew that she didn't really want to have sex with me. So I just took what I could get. You understanding me? So if you were touching me and it didn't feel good, I just was like, well, you know what I'm saying? Just run it. Because I'm going to take what I could get. Do you understand what I'm saying? But over time, I've never had to say anything to you. You kind of figured it out. But I didn't want to talk about it because we couldn't talk about it. It was like a rule in our house that we couldn't talk about sex, which is a form of gatekeeping. You know what I'm saying? The reason why you do it doesn't matter. The fact that it's happening is a problem, because I can only express my sexual desires through you. And that's the only way I could do it.
Yeah.
And if I'm shamed when I have something to say, you know what I'm saying? It was some shame there too. But I think it was residual from what you had experienced. So, because I remember one time we were talking and I was like, I think we were on the podcast maybe. And I was like, yeah, man, if I was like into some real freaky stuff, I would want to, I almost cursed. If I was into something like kinky, I would want to be able to say that to you. Right. And not be shamed. I just want you to know, even if it's an issue that we gotta like, I gotta get some help for, or, you know what I'm saying, and not any super weird stuff. I'm just talking about like, hey, I may like this, right? I would want to be able to say that to you without being like, ew. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think most men would want to be trained, right? I think that comes from a spiritual maturity thing. It just comes from spiritual maturity. That's all.
Yeah.
That was a lot, man.
That was a lot.
I would love to know what you guys think in the comment section. We might unpack this in a live later this week. If you guys have any more questions or any thoughts, or just, want to tell us something, about this conversation, because there was a lot of topics we talked about in the intimacy, sex, cheek clapping category.
Oh my gosh.
So we're willing to have another conversation about this. Yeah, babe. How married are you?
I'm so married that I snuck into your email and Glenn had, so I don't know if you guys know this, but my husband is a lyricist. He is top tier. If you don't know, his artist name is Belief Mel on Apple Music, Spotify. Oh, is it just Belief? Oh, it's Belief on Apple Music, Spotify, anywhere you listen to music. You can find music by Glenn. And it's interesting because I feel like I've grown in my appreciation for his lyricism. I think I had a moment because there's been kind of a lot of death lately. And yeah, the other day we were listening, or this is actually a while ago, but we were listening, the kids and I, when we're in the car, we listen to a variety of things. But sometimes when I'm over y'all's music, I'll just turn on like Belief Mel or Dream Junkies. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to Glenn rap and I was like, wow, like what a gift to be able to have your words beyond like your life. You know what I'm saying? And so anywho, he is really good. He's really good. And I would love for him to be able to have that outlet again, to be able to express himself lyrically and through music. However, he wrote on the track with Lecrae and Andy Mineo. Mineo. What is he? What's the song?
Coming in
hot. Sorry, y'all. He wrote on that song, and that song Coming in Hot was actually like a really high performing song. And so they at first they got like a gold plaque, and I remember him wanting to get the gold plaque, and then recently they got the million
platinum.
Maybe this should not be my How Married Are You?
That's good.
They got the platinum plaque. And Glenn, you know, like he had been putting it off because he's like, you know, we have other financial obligations. And I guess in order to get the plaque, you have to pay for it. I didn't know that. I was like, just give the man his plaque. He earned it. But you had to pay for it. And Glenn has been talking about this plaque since the gold one. He's been like, I want to get it. I want to get it. I want to get it. And he's been putting it off forever. And so it was in December. It was around Christmas time when I was like, oh, maybe I can like just sneak into his email and try to do this as a Christmas present. I did it. And apparently it takes a while to get all the things, but I snuck into his email and was able to surprise him with the thing. We were actually out of town when it came, and I was nervous that they were going to send it back because you had to sign for it. We were in the Bay Area, I think, when it came in. But yeah, so that's how married I am. How married are you, my love?
I am so married. That was a good one, babe.
Thanks.
I'm so married that I have so many. But let me.
You can do this morning.
I know I was gonna do this morning, but I really loved. I'll do this one. So this morning, Yvette was just sitting there. And she like cleaned in this office. She was doing the dishes, but she kept saying, I'm hungry. I need to make something. I need to make me something. I pulled out the puff pastry. It's so crazy because I know, I watched my grandmother do this for years. She talks to herself like around the house and just be like, oh, somebody need to go ahead and do this for me. And she'll be like, Glenn, what you call? Can you fix this for me? Can you do this for me? And like, I've known already that's kind of like, all right, well, if she starts talking to herself, she's really talking to me, and I should just go ahead and do what she wants. So she was talking about all these ideas she had for breakfast. Maybe I should make some eggs and put in a puff pastry and do a little roast. Remember these rolls I used to do? Remember that? And I was just like, I'll do it. And she was like, no, baby, you should go ahead and do it then. So I ended up making her these puff pastry, egg bacon rolls. Like,
the thing is, when you give me an out, I will take it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's my problem. But I realized that because I was on Pinterest, y'all. I knew I wanted to use the puff pastry. So I was like, let me go on Pinterest and see puff pastry, like breakfast meal type thing. And so I knew I would spend the majority of my time trying to find a recipe that looked good and that I could do and had all the ingredients for. Versus Glenn, he knows I want puff pastry. He knows I want eggs and bacon. He gonna get in there and just figure it out.
Yeah.
And he did. And it was so good.
Yeah. And I think the thing is that you'll follow the recipe in the cook time and it'll take that time to do it. But what I'll do is I'll just look at the general rules and I'll be like, I can create within this and I'll just run it.
But I wasn't like, because I feel like that comes off kind of manipulative, and I wasn't really trying to manipulate you. I wasn't trying to manipulate you. Mm-hmm. And also, as you said earlier, I don't belong in nobody's kitchen. I don't. But anywho. And that's just how married we are.